Welcome to DarwinChin.com. All right, today we're going to take a look at the Microsoft Surface Pro 3. This is the latest iteration of Microsoft's Surface tablets. The full Pro version runs Windows 8.1 Professional. And so let's take a look at what you get in the box. All right. We have the tablet right here. And then you have your manual. Oh, and here is the quadruple A battery, which actually is used for their new pen. So here's the new pen. Yep, and so if you guys didn't know, yeah, unlike the original Surface Pro, which used a Wacom pen and digitizer, it did not require a battery. Microsoft moved away and put in an N-Trig in there, which requires these quadruple A batteries. They're accessible at let's see, Office Max, I think Staples and Best Buy has them. So I guess with these kind of these make a bigger splash, requires these more available elsewhere. So what else we got? All right, we have in here most likely the power supply and stuff. So here's your standard 2-pin cable there, and the power supply, which actually, interestingly enough, is actually pretty slim. So anything else? That's all we get. So that's what we get in the box. So we have, let's put this away. So again, quickly looking, you get the lovely Surface Pro 3 tablet, all nice and wrapped up. The power supplies and the cable, the quadruple A battery, manuals, and the pen. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and configure this guy, and we'll take a look at it. Okay, so now that I got it all kind of cleaned up and unwrapped and everything, let's take a tour of this device. So obviously, as you see, it's a 12-inch screen on this guy, so it's a lot bigger, but amazingly, it's a lot thinner. Before I look at any comparisons, let's take a look real quick. Well, physical changes, obviously, we see besides size. Microsoft has moved the Windows button, their home button, from the bottom down here to the side. Then looking around the device, you can see that the volume rocker is still on the side over here, as well as the headphone jack. The power button on top over here on the left side of top left side of the device. And looking down here, we have your mini display port, USB 3, and this is the new power connector, and we'll talk about that in a moment. And the bottom is nothing much more than the connector for the covers. And then the big selling point, obviously, for this thing is the kickstand. Microsoft's Surface Pros and Surface lines have had amazing success with these things, and I think it's an absolutely essential part of it. It blends in beautifully, and actually one thing noticed is that the color has changed. They went and kept the Surface 2 kind of like light gray color, but I think it looks a lot better than the kind of brownish color they've used in the past. So we'll take a look at the stand here. So now typically the first series of Surfaces, they only have one position. But the nice thing about the new ones is that not only this is that you have this one position kind of opens up real quick, but now with it you can basically angle it. Just a little bit of pressure, and now you can go further and even further and even further, all the way back to this angle. So, and it feels very sturdy. It doesn't flip flop. You can feel it. It's very stiff. And so it's very strong, which is really nice. Now, what's hidden away on the side, just to let you know real quick, since we have it open, is right there is your micro SD card slot on the bottom right there. So they moved it away from on the standard Surface Pros, which was sort of on the side, over here somewhere. They actually moved it down back here. This is actually more reminiscent of what they did with the RT tablets, which is probably a good spot because it's not in the way. You can't actually flip it open and have it pop out, so it's kind of nice. So the nice thing about then, once again, we'll go back to the kickstand, is we can see that it goes pretty far in, and you can kind of lay it pretty flat. So if you're, say, drawing, for example, it's a great angle for it. Or if you want a little bit more of a different angle here, or you want to play around with this, I want this, or versus a little bit taller this. gives you all that kind of capability. And then at the same time, it's very sturdy. It's not gonna, it doesn't feel like it's gonna collapse on you. It's very impressive. It's a great piece of it's great design right there to make it so much more worthwhile. And it folds away, and it's not very obtrusive. So there. So that's kind of a quick look at what the device has around it. And you can see real quick, now that being it's a lighter gray color, you can actually see now that these are the ridge vents that they've built in for the cooling of the device. Now not down here, but around this part of it, you can see that the vents are all around it that aid in the cooling. Now I can't attest to how loud it is yet because I haven't really done any installations of programs on it. I basically just turned it on, set it up, and we're taking a look at it real quick. So before, I'll get to that a little bit later as far as some programs, but let's take a look at how it compares to my original Surface Pro. So this is my original Surface Pro, which is now turning on. As you can see, just if I stack them, just the sheer size difference is amazing. So that basically you see where it kind of extends out further, being larger, and yet it's actually thinner, which is really quite an accomplishment. Turn this off. So the obvious power button did move between the Pro 1 versus the 3. Mine was over here. It's on this side now, a little bit bigger. And like I said, you noticed before the buttons are located a little bit differently. If I put them side by side, you see that, if you can see, is well, here, let's do it on the back. Just the size difference alone between the two, you can see that it's significantly larger. Let's see, just turn it on, just get the start screen going to see kind of the display sizes. And my wallpapers haven't synced up yet, but you can see that there is quite a bit of size difference between the Pro 1 versus the Pro 2 or 3. Sorry, the Pro 3, because you see that it's obviously wider and just a bit taller. So it actually feels much more substantial in size, the way it's set up. So that's the quick view of what the physical attributes. And once again, real quick, you can see that the Surface Pro 1, this is the angle you're at. The 2 gave it a little bit more. This one here, the default angle is similar. So the default angle that it pops out at is similar, but obviously the Pro 3 can go various different levels and go down that far even, which is great for drawing and stuff. So that's a look at the differences between the Surface Pro 1 and the Surface Pro 3. Other things that they have changed, obviously, the pen. So this is this is hard to see, but this is basically the original Wacom pen that came along with the first Surface Pro. It's basically kind of a plasticky thing. It's got a button up on top, and this part actually stuck to the power adapter area, like so. So that's what it did. Now the new one does not have that kind of capability. So the new one, here's the new pen, basically has 2 buttons up on top. It has the same type of tip, and it's got an eraser. And this one had an eraser too, so let's not ignore that. It has the eraser bit over here as well. So obviously the one difference then as well is that it's got the battery. It kind of screws off, and there's the battery that sits in there. And as you can see, that's that one selling point that was in the press conference, was that you can basically click on the top of the pen and you're suddenly in OneNote. And I haven't installed it yet, so not very impressive. But when I get it installed, we'll take a look at it a little bit more in depth. So also the one thing that changed is the power bricks. I want to show you that real quick. So the power bricks, this is the new one. This is the old one. So the old Pro ones are obviously a bit bigger, and so the Pro 3 is a tad smaller. It's actually kind of a welcome change. It's and not that it was that big anyway, but it is a bit smaller, which is kind of nice. The connector has changed as well, because one of the probably the biggest complaints you would hear from people about the original magnetic adapter for the Pro 1 and Pro 2 is trying to get into this little slot over here. It's kind of a bear, because it's not as nice as Apple's mag locks. So you kind of have to kind of play with it a little bit, and kind of, if you're doing this, it doesn't never really quite goes in. Now, even if, with your fingers doing this, you kind of got to play with it a little bit. And I mean, it sticks in when it gets there, but sometimes you got to play with it sometimes, and so it's not the greatest implementation. So what they did here this time is, the new one is basically, it's a little tiny slot, as we can see on this guy here. It's on this side, and basically it basically will, well, it'll be better. At least it doesn't, you don't have to play with it as much. It kind of falls into the slot, and it's in. So jury's out on it, on how good it is. I haven't really played around with it too much, like I said, because I just unboxed it. But it's a slot, and it fits right in, so it's a little less it seems a lot less problematic, because once it goes in the slot, it's in the slot, and voila. So it's not a lot of goofing around in there. So that seems like a lot better solution. So we'll see how well it plays out in the long run. So, but that's it for now. What I'm going to do is get some more software on here, because obviously that's the big deal about having a Surface Pro, is that you can install whatever you want. And so it so happens that at this time of this video here, Adobe just released yesterday the 2014 CC edition of their software. So supposedly it's got a lot more touch capability. We'll put it on here. We'll take a look at it and see how well it works. Ultimately, the big question is, how well is this pen going to be compared to, say, the good old Wacom pen? Is it going to stand up to the test? We'll find out. Stay tuned.